In this video, I want to talk about the lipless crankbait. This is a bait that is still such a fish catcher, but the lipless crankbait, the rattle trap, has really kind of gone on the back burner over the years. And so I really want to know from you guys, do you still fish a lipless? Let me know down below in the comments. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about a few situations where I really like to throw that lipless, and also why I think that this bait may have a little bit of a resurgence in the coming years. Now, before we get into that, this video is brought to you by my apparel company, Fin Fishing. A lot of you guys probably know this by my other videos, but I just came out with a new pair of shorts. This is the all new duck shorts. The reason they're called the duck shorts, if you see the water hit this thing or any kind of liquid, it literally just beads off. I'm really proud of that. They are highly durable, high quality, lightweight, tear proof. These are, to me, they're the best shorts that I've ever wore ever. But again, that's coming from me. So anyways, they are new on the website right now. I know that it's not really short season here, but shopping at Fin Fishing is surely the best way to help support the channel, and I greatly appreciate all of you who have done so. I'll leave some links for the duck shorts down below in the description. All right, let's talk a little bit about the lipless crankbait. And the lipless crankbait, some of you guys may not know this, some of you may, but this bait was actually the reason that I fell in love with bass fishing, the lipless crankbait. As a matter of fact, this specific bait right here that I've kept all these years is the reason that I really love bass fishing, because a number of years ago, I think I was either 12 or 13. I went out on Lake Toho down in Florida with my uncle, and my brother, my dad, and my uncle and myself were all in the boat fishing lipless crankbaits that day. And I remember this giant school of bass that came to the surface chasing shiners, and everyone in the boat caught them that day except for me. But when I got home, I remember when I got back home to Ohio, all I did was I fished this bait. Throughout the entire spring and into summer, all I did was throw a lipless crankbait. And so in this one specifically, you can see this thing has caught some serious fish. And anyways, this bait is still a very effective tool. As a matter of fact, if you think about it, a number of years ago, there were tons of tournaments won in Florida, in Texas, any lakes that had a lot of grass, Gunnersville's of the worlds, any lakes that had a ton of grass, this was a dominant player. Now, over the years, another lure, the chatterbait, has really kind of taken the place of a lipless crankbait. A chatterbait is a bait that, as we know, it comes through grass very efficiently. You can fish it through grass, you can get the thing hung up in grass, and it just continues to kind of come through it easily with the way that it's built. Now, with that being said, 9 times out of 10, when you go to lakes that have a lot of grass, there's guys everywhere that are throwing lipless crankbaits, absolutely everywhere. And so in those situations, those are now my favorite places to throw a lipless, because I remember just this spring, I was fishing a lake up in Michigan, and it had a lot of kind of offshore milfoil. It was a lake that the grass was just starting to kind of come up at the time. And I didn't see a ton of anglers out on the water that day, but every angler that I saw was fishing a chatterbait. They were all fishing chatterbaits. And so with all the grass, it made sense. I ended up picking up this bait though, a lipless crankbait, not this specific one. It was the Arc lipless crankbait. And I ended up finding a big school of bass and just catching a ton of fish on it in some areas that I knew that other anglers probably have been in the past, even on that day, just because of where it kind of was situated. So it was a lot of fun, and it just really made me, again, see the power of the lipless crankbait. Now, grass is definitely a place where I'm gonna throw a lipless, but I do want you guys to know who don't fish around grass that this can still be a very effective tool at catching bass. As a matter of fact, a lot of places where you would fish a crankbait, a chatterbait, or spinnerbait, you could pick up a lipless in a lot of those exact same situations. I know for me, when I first got a bass boat, which was when I was 15 years old, thank you, Target. I shouldn't say that because I hate Target now, but I worked at Target pushing carts for a number of years to be able to pay for a boat when I was 15. My dad would take me to the lake and would drop me off for the day. And I fished a ton of lipless crankbaits in the lakes that were just local to me. Now, one of those lakes is a lake that a lot of you probably aren't familiar with. It's called Delaware Lake. It's a muddy lake. It's got wood cover primarily. It's more of a lowland reservoir. It's not a place that you would think to pick up a lipless, but I remember going there in the spring a lot in that old boat, and I would catch the fire out of bass, fishing it a lot like you would a spinnerbait, kind of just casting it at the bank and reeling this thing back. A lot of times I like to do a stop and go retrieve with a lipless, so I'm gonna crank that thing really fast and then just kill it. But anyways, a lipless to me, it's still a very effective tool. And I believe that Mark Daniels, I have not done this yet, but I believe that he takes the back hook off of his lipless crankbaits and will actually fish them through wood cover very effectively that way. It's either the back hook or the front hook. I forget which one, maybe it's the back hook. But anyways, I know that this is a really good bait in that situation. I can't say that I have done that before, but I still like to throw a lipless. And I do think that, like I said, I think that in the coming future, this bait's gonna have a little bit of a resurgence because people are gonna start to pick it up in those same places where they used to throw a chatterbait, whether that's a big grass flat or wherever it may be. And they're gonna go out there and they're going to be catching fish a little bit better because the fish these days haven't seen as many lipless crankbaits. Just think about the cycles of lures. Like we see this, it seems like yearly, but we see this all the time where kind of you have these trends of lures that come about, you know, and the chatterbait has had a trend, you know, where it was like, man, the bass for a long time had not heard chatterbaits and the bass absolutely killed them. And they're still going to eat a chatterbait, but a lot of the bass in this day and age, just think of the last 10 years that have been dominated by chatterbaits. A lot of bass have died in 10 years, and a lot of the new babies that are now getting bigger and catchable have not heard as many lipless crankbaits. So if you start to pick up a lipless and throw it in a lot of those same areas, you may start catching bass even better than a chatterbait. So guys, a chatterbait is a really good bait. There's a number of ways that you can fish this. You know, I talked about the stop and go retrieve. That's what I do most of the time. Another really effective technique, and this is what I do a little bit more on rocky lakes, is I will actually let this thing hit the bottom and yo-yo it off the bottom, especially if I'm fishing in a little bit colder water. So you're literally just kind of working it like a blade bait, ripping that thing off the bottom, letting it fall back down. I've done that on secondary points before for smallmouth, where you catch a ton of smallmouth that way. I've done that with spotted bass before, even in the Carolinas. It is a great, effective bait that still catches a ton of fish. And I would love to know if you guys still throw them. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you tomorrow. Don't forget to check out those fin shorts, and I will see you, well, I'll see you tomorrow.